For the 46th District, Kathy Schmaltz. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
I'm guessing you've had a few late nights. One with the budget, but then the two Tigers games over the weekend.
Oh yeah. Those are very stressful. The budget was stressful. The Tiger games are stressful.
So the vote, it was a few days after the constitutionally mandated date when you have to have the budget. You missed that.
Well, we had a stopgap measure in there that we approved, so we got an extension on that.
So a lot of people are thinking, well, what is going on? Why is the budget? Is the federal government shutting down? The state budget almost shut. The state government almost shut down. Really, why couldn't the House and the Senate and the governor get together, a lot sooner? Because school districts, they were sending out layoff notices. They were, cutting this and that.
Well, we sent them the school budget before the deadline, and they wanted the full budget, so they didn't do anything with it.
The House sent the Senate.
We sent, and you have to remember, the House is, Republicans control the House, Democrats control the Senate, so we have to come to an agreement on things. But we sent them the school budget. We wanted it done. It wasn't fair to our school superintendents and our students and teachers not to know what they were getting. Yeah. So we did send it to them. The federal budget, the full budget, we were waiting for the federals to see what they were going to do to make sure that we took care of things that needed to be taken care of statewide.
So you anticipated the federal government was going to cut things that the state government was.
So we wanted to make sure that we were taking care of that.
All right. So schools, the biggest part of the state budget. What are the school districts getting per pupil?
Okay, they're getting right now it's $9,608. They're getting $10,050. We originally had $12,000. They got nothing last year, which really destroyed them. So we did say $12,000. We ended up on $10,050. What we were going to do is get rid of the categories, because right now they get like a certain money for transportation, a certain money for this. We got rid of those. Was going to give them the full bulk of $12,000 and say, do with it what you think. Okay? Didn't cut meals. I know everybody thought that. The federal government takes care of all the needy children, so that was never cut. It was up to the school districts with the money we were going to give them to provide it for all kids. So we never cut that. In this budget, $10,050 per pupil. We also put in $325 million fully funded mental health and public safety, which was taken out last year, and only a little bit put back in. So we fully funded that. Meals, breakfast, and lunch are in there as a category, and most of the categories are back in.
So are the school districts in Jackson County happy with that?
Yes, I think they're happy with it, with the categories back in too. I think they wanted the per pupil a little bit higher than that, but of course we had to come to an agreement, so that's what we agreed on.
So the state school aid fund is supposed to cover K-12, but some of that money is being diverted to higher ed. I think originally the Republicans wanted to cut money to Michigan State and U of M. That money was put back in and then some. What about the criticism that school aid fund is being used for higher ed?
Well, you're supposed to use some of that money for education anyway, so that's not, that shouldn't be an issue. We didn't take any money away. Matter of fact, this is the biggest budget for school aid that's ever been, so it's higher than anything. $10,050 is higher than it's ever been in our state. So we do have a lot of money in there, plus there's still grants available for different areas for schools. So actually, I think it turned out pretty well for schools.
And in addition to U of M and MSU, that also includes Jackson College, because community college is getting, and they're getting an increase.
Yes, we're still working on details with some of that, but yeah, they should be okay too. I did put in a request for them. I didn't get that for some infrastructure, but I'm still working on that. Okay.
The earmarks, it's a different system now. It's a much more transparent.
Right.
You can't hide the stuff anymore. But I think $100 million in special projects for throughout the state. Is there anything for Jackson County?
Yeah. So what was really important for us as House Republicans was to make sure there was transparency and accountability, and that's what we did. For example, there were what we call phantom jobs. Money were given to departments, and they didn't use it to fill the jobs. They just used it for other things. So we cut out about 2,000 of that. Of course, we wanted road funding. We wanted $3.4 billion. We ended up with an agreement with the Senate getting $2 billion. They would not give money for road funding unless we had revenue coming in the form of taxes. We said no gas taxes. We're not going to raise those. We wanted no taxes on tips, overtime, and Social Security. That's in the budget. We made sure that was there. What they did do was put 24% increase on marijuana wholesale. They originally wanted 30%, and we settled on 24%. And then we're going to work on, of course, the black market, which really hurts those manufacturers and also is not safe for people. So those are things we're going to work on. The earmarks, we made sure that if you wanted something for your district, that you had to put it online and you had to testify on each one of those. So we were very lucky because we got, let's see, Steve Castle came up and testified with me on Interfaith Shelter, so we got $1 million for their new family center that's coming up. Ryan Tarrant came in for Ella Sharp, and we testified on that for the trail system, more infrastructure, and also a bike library. So if you don't have a bike, you can come in and rent a bike and use it for the trails, so that's kind of cool. So we got $750,000 there. And then for the Cascades restoration, Kyle Lewis came in with me, and we got $1.5 million to help restore the Cascades.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So the mountain bike trails at Ella Sharp, restoration of those.
Right.
In a bike livery?
Bike library.
Bike library.
Yeah, so
okay.
you can, you know, just like you can
take
a book out, you can take a bike out. So that's pretty cool.
The criticism about the 24% on the marijuana, it seems like the marijuana pricing is artificially low in the state of Michigan because of the glut of producers.
Right.
So 24% tax, well, it sounds like a lot. The industry sounds like they're up in arms.
Yes, they are. Of course, we didn't want any taxes raised, but we did want to fix our local roads. That's very important to everybody's district and every business, really. I mean, we have to fix these roads. It's just not good. So we wanted money for that, and again, we weren't going to get anything if they didn't somehow have revenue coming in, and that's what was settled on. So.
You also are requiring, in order for the state departments to get money in the budget, that they have their employees back in the office.
We have empty buildings. You know what we found out, which is really, some of these people were getting second jobs. They weren't showing,
sure.
They were still working with the government, not showing up and then going to a second job. Mm-hmm. So getting paid for both. I mean, that's just so wrong. So we want them back in the office. We want them to actually, we had empty buildings. They're not going to be empty anymore. We're paying on these buildings. Come back to work and actually do your job. That's really important.
What about corrections and
yes.
Michigan State Police, public safety overall?
Those are priorities along with the military too. So for state troopers and for corrections, we have pay increases in there. We never cut them. What we cut was administration phantom jobs. That went around too. You always have to, you know, people will pick some things out and not tell you exactly the whole story. So we never cut them. So pay increases for them. For corrections especially, we really need corrections officers, so we're working on retention and attracting corrections officers and also state troopers. And military, we're making sure our National Guard, health insurance is covered for them, even when they're deployed in the state, not just federally. So those are very important to us. There's
been a lot of criticism about the state police, its leadership, the low morale, the current director. There's a lot of unhappiness about the guy. Did that impact the level of funding allocated to MSP?
Well, not to maybe to administration, but not to state troopers, not to road patrols. We wanted to make sure they were fully funded because public safety is very important, and we want to take care of all our people and our neighborhoods and to make sure they're safe. Rep. Mueller, a former police officer, is the head of that investigation, and he's working on all that with the state police. But we want to make sure that everything is run the right way there. But this is not, no way were we going to touch our state troopers or affect them in any way with any cuts.
The roads, that's been the governor's campaign pledge, fix the damn roads. But local roads seems to be an area that you're directing money. It's got to go to local roads in this budget. Right.
And again, we only got $2 billion. We wanted $3.4 billion, but we'll work on that. And this will be annually, and hopefully we can get more money for roads. But yes, the whole focus will be on there's some state road money in there, but mainly local roads. Most of the bonding was used for state highways, as we know, when we try to drive around. And we want this money to go to local roads. That's really important.
No one seems to be crying over the cuts to the MEDC for the Strategic Attraction Fund.
SOAR, yeah.
SOAR, that was a half $1 billion last year, 500 million, zero.
Right.
this year.
We were not happy, especially with where the money was going, and we wanted it, if it was going to be handed out, to give to small businesses who really need it. It doesn't need to go to
that are already here.
Yeah, it doesn't need to go to the big corporations. And so, yeah, we cut that out completely, no SOAR funding. It's just so important that we focus on our small business and make sure money goes to them, to keep them in and to attract other businesses to our area. So that was important. Also, with the public safety, we also put in there the public, I can't remember what it's called, Violence Trust Fund, where we'll give direct money right to our state, right to our local police. So Jackson City Police was in line for $600,000. I don't know if that is still the right number. The sheriffs will get some money, and then there'll be some victims' rights also in there and to help victims. So that did go through the Public Trust Fund, and we're happy with that. And we'll find out what the numbers are when we details.
And how about local government revenue sharing from the state?
Yeah, that was a big issue there. Some of that got back. We're still dealing with some of the details on that.
So you can't actually read the budget. Where is that? I mean, is it...
Like last year, remember, we were headed 1,500 pages with a couple hours to go through. And luckily, all along, we have been briefed, and we were getting details on what was coming out and what we asked for and what was important. So we had, we knew what was going on and where we were. But as the negotiations went on with the Senate that night, like I said, we were there till 4:30 in the morning. So different things had to change, and finally we came to an agreement and got this done.
No more Dolly Parton Imagination Library books for preschool kids in Michigan. Slashed.
Yeah, well, some of those details I haven't looked into, but the literacy is very important to make sure that we take care of our kids there. I just introduced my dyslexia bill, which I've talked about before too, to make sure that a teacher is trained in each school district in Norton-Gillingham to teach dyslexics. So we are working on literacy issues.
And we've seen school districts have to beef up security. Obviously, that was something before last year that there was a really big focus on. Kind of it got cut. It's back up. So do we know yet how is that going to be allocated? What are we looking at, like, for an average sized school district in terms of actual money?
Well, $325 million is allocated for public safety and mental health. Yes. Okay. So. Each district, we just want to make sure that has been the way in the past. It was cut last year, and we just put it all back in. But we want to keep everybody safe. I mean, it's so important. As a parent, as a teacher, you shouldn't be worried, and as a student going to school. So we want to keep everyone safe and make sure that's fully funded. All
right. More to come. We appreciate all the details and updates from you today.
Yes, we're very happy about Cascades and Interfaith Shelter and Ella Sharp, and that's good news. Those are very important to Jackson, and we wanted to make sure we got the money for that. And I kept putting things on our speaker's desk, and he goes, "What is this?" I said, "This has to be in the budget." So we worked really hard on that, but they're very important for our district and our economy, and I'm so glad that they made it in the budget.
Great. Good news. Thanks for coming in.
Of course. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Hope you get to go to one of those two Tigers games this week.
Yeah, I got to get there.
The 46th District State Representative, Kathy Schmaltz.